Wodonga agents Paul and Schollard, Landmark and Elders have conducted their November sale, and Matt Pitzen joins me. Matt, 1,760 cattle in the yards here today. We've had a bit of a discussion, not what you'd call an outstanding lineup of cattle.
Like we said before, Murray, probably the depth of the good lines of cattle wasn't here. There was 2 or 3 feature lines and they sold very well, but probably, and I don't know whether you call it maybe just a bit of a clean-up on a few of the other lots as well. So
yeah, I don't know whether that's indicative of what the supply of the cattle is going to be like going forward, but there wasn't the depth in the yards of today what we've normally seen.
But we normally see, no.
And especially for a November sale too.
Yeah,
because
and only sort of two or three sort of good lines of weaners, but then a lot more probably smaller 10s and 15s and 20s and that sort of stuff. So there was, not the big 50s or 80s or whatever that some vendors had.
That said, the market was very, very solid. Probably top end we mightn't have seen much of an improvement, but there was definitely a firmer bottom in the market today.
I think too I reckon we've probably picked up a bit. I think certainly the reports from the markets in the south for the last month or two seem to have been better than what we had, but we've probably kicked up a bit on that here today. Too. So,
the tops of the steer markets, I worked a few of them out at 330s, 340s and an odd 350.
Yes.
Yeah, but very few under $3. Even your coloured cattle.
Yeah, and I think there was probably crowd-wise. I don't know what you thought, but it was probably a bigger crowd that was here today than what we'd seen for the last few months.
Yeah,
as well.
I think you're right there too. The heifer market here today. It was also solid. It was very, very solid at 270s to 280. Yeah, and that's 4s or 5s.
Yeah, and probably better. That's certainly better than our last sale. It could be sort of 15, 20 plus cents better.
Yeah.
Or so, and that's what we said earlier. I think maybe that there's not going to be a lot of cattle around. We all know it's going to get dearer. Just when it's going to be is probably going to be the thing. Whether it's in 1 or 2 months or 6 months down the track or so. But obviously cattle numbers are going to drop off, and people are hopefully getting ready for that.
Yeah, it was interesting to see where your buying strength came from today. You could almost say that the bullock finishers and the backgrounders out of the ranges came out and down to today to buy cattle.
Corryongs, Talangatas and Kiwas and Wangaratas and all those areas that are normally pretty safe areas and all probably got rain in this rain last week, the front that come through, and there's the odd showers around again, but they would still be holding all right, and they're going to should have green grass still for quite a while.
Yeah, so. It's very hard to put a price on what that rain was worth, actually, is it?
Yeah, I think, certainly it, and if you've got any heavy cattle in the paddocks, which these blokes might still have if you have sold some, like the heavy end of your kill job has been very, very solid. We've seen a couple of northern blokes here, one processor here in our fat market the last 2 weeks that hasn't been down for probably 8 or 9 months or so, and another lot of cattle like another processor both sending cattle up to Brisbane to get killed, so that's indicative of how many numbers are up there. They're probably starting to run out a fair bit too.
So, yeah. Anyway, a very successful November sale. Thanks, Matt. And we must thank Shanahan's Livestock Transport, who have got a base here in Wodonga and also in Toowoomba for their continual support of these livestock videos, so for Beef Central. So until we report to you again, Murray Arnel reporting for Beef Central.